Hi, Natalie. Thanks for joining me today on the Financial Planner Life podcast. How are you doing?
I am very well, Sam. Thank you very much for having me.
Good. Well, that's untrue because we were talking before the podcast. Both of us have been going mental. We haven't been well. We've been a bit down, haven't we, over the last couple of...
Absolutely. I think I'm an incredibly positive person. I just mentioned that, but we're human above anything else, and it's just been a long old year with lots of change to manage and navigate through, whether it be professionally or personally, and it's just taking its toll at the moment. But hey ho.
Absolutely. Just feels a little bit like something might come along and take your legs out at any stage. So I think we're just a bit yeah, you'll be just pleased when it's all over. But you're not alone. I'm not alone. So it was lovely to talk to you about that, and you actually really helped me. So thank you so much for that. Okay, great stuff. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining me today. Obviously, I've had Kathy Harrison on before from the Verve Group, and you yourself are the Director of Culture and Engagement at the Verve Group. And one of your responsibilities is the Art of Finance UK. And it wasn't only a couple of weeks ago, I put a post out on LinkedIn sort of asking to connect with anyone that works really within the training and development side of financial planning in whatever capacity. And your name popped up. But you were recommended by Kathy, weren't you?
She's a good friend. She's a good friend to have.
She just tagged you on it. So yeah, really pleased to have you on today. And I'm really looking forward to finding out a bit about the Art of Finance, what you do, and just really what sort of solution Art of Finance has for the financial planning and financial services profession. So in the first instance, what I'd love for you just to kind of give our listeners an overview of is, what is the Art of Finance?
Okay, so just by way of a quick introduction, because I know you just mentioned my title there, the Verve Group. So the Verve Group collectively is a number of support services for financial advisors and planners, whether it be parasols for paraplanning, Apprenticeship compliance. The Art of Finance is essentially an outsourced training solution that fits within the Verve Group. So you're absolutely right. I do have two hats, which is the working across the Verve Group in my direct role of culture and engagement, because there's a hell of a lot of change that happens within the group, staff engagement, just generally working with the team to make sure that they're all happy and motivated and navigating the way through the growth and the fast-paced change that we've got. But because of my skill set in I was actually in a creative role before I joined Kathy and the team kind of 3.5-4 years ago, looking at marketing and just generally kind of change management initiatives and leadership development programs, and how we use creative comms to actually get the best out of people. So it led us into coaching and lots of learning and development work. So when it came to creating the Art of Finance with Kathy, we knew there was an absolute training need that was crying out for within financial services. The clients on parasols and Apprenticeship were always saying, Kathy, come and train my paraplanners. Where do you find them? Come and sit in my office. And knowing how, I suppose, how fast-paced financial services needed to be in terms of revolutionising, building capacity across the whole of the industry, we came up with the Art of Finance as an idea. Kathy's background is technical. She is finance through and through. I'm not. I am people. I am, learning. And actually, between the two of us, the blend ended up being the Art of Finance, which is a training program to support learners with both the qualifications and the practical skills that they will need to usually get to a level 4 CII diploma, depending on which course or route they go down with us.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much for that overview. I like the fact that it's a blend between like yourself and Kathy, one being very technical by the sounds of it, and the other being a bit more around the soft social skills that go alongside training and development. And you've kind of merged the two. and that merges the art of finance. And it's, you know, it's really interesting to hear as well that where you've been as part of the Verve group, having these outsourced solutions for these financial planning firms, because essentially you are within the financial planning profession. That's where you sit. And that's what the podcast is all about, is these jobs, opportunities and careers within financial planning, you know, and listening to what the feedback was from the clients that you were working with through Apprenticeship and the outsourced power planning side, and the difficulties they were having with their staff in respect of training them. Because as directors of businesses, I know this, you know this, when you wear 1,000,001 hats, it's very difficult to train your staff, you know, with all the skills and experience that you have in your mind. You've got a job that you need to be doing, and you're hoping that these guys coming in have got the skills, etc., to do what they need to do.
Absolutely. And keeping your eye on the quality and the operations and everything else that goes with it at the same time. We, when I did first start, it was just parasols, and I came at a time when Kathy was desperate to grow parasols and scale it. But in terms of, so I started as a marketing manager, and I remember very, very vividly on my first day saying, come on, talk me through your ideal client, what persona is it? And she's like, oh, we've got a waiting list of clients for parasols. I was like, what? You don't need a marketing manager if you've got a waiting list of clients. You know, come on, talk me through the issue, right? Actually, what's going on here? And we knew that the issue was essentially was our supply. We just couldn't find enough paraplanners to be able to meet the demand that we were getting from clients. So she had already had some success with recruiting graduates. So I had a very unofficial grad scheme within what was just parasols then. So my first job really that I got into was devising what is called the grad scheme. So right. I don't know how we got the domain name, www.
I know, I saw that, yeah.
theGradScheme.co.uk. Honestly, it's the greatest fluke I'll ever know. But yeah, in creating the grad scheme, that meant that actually we started to grow our own paraplanners, and in doing that, we had to break out the 2-year training framework where graduates, so that they were up to the parasol standard. And it was then we were able to scale a business at the same time as we were getting clients begging Kathy, saying, you know, come and help me find some. That actually we thought, you know what, there's an opportunity here. We've actually, you know, got the wealth of experience in that, you know, we've been in their shoes. We found it hard to find paraplanners, which is absolutely ironic considering we're an outsourced paraplanning firm. So it just meant we were able to actually take the framework, all of the learnings that we had firsthand, going through that kind of painful process ourselves, and then being able to create a training framework, which, you know, is lovely, and it's intentionally been a blend of both Kathy and I, and I think for me, that really is the USP. So actually, kind of even the language that we start to speak in terms of that whole personal development and the professional development, and coming away from very technical skills and technical language, is almost the difference between financial advice and financial planning, I think. That's kind of very similar debate. So yes, it is lovely that it's a blend, and it was certainly one that was intentionally positioned to be both practical skills and the qualifications, knowing that our view for the art of finance and indeed the mission across the Verve group is that it's not any one kind of stream that makes you a good paraplanner or a good compliance professional or a good financial administrator, for example. You need both the qualifications and the practical skills as well.
The qualification and the practical skills. That's very, you know, the grad scheme, yeah, absolute fluke. I can't believe you managed to get that. That's amazing. So the grad scheme then, and obviously I spoke to Kathy about this in a little bit of detail as well, but it'd be great to talk to you about it as well. You know, you are building homegrown talent, aren't you? You know, you're not, you know, you are like every financial planning company out there, and I know this because I run a recruitment company in the financial planning space. You yourselves were struggling to find qualified, experienced financial, administrators and paraplanners. So you're thinking, well, okay, well, let's grow our own. Let's build our own training academy. Let's train our own up to be able to grow your parasols and have good quality people within it. Now, when you brought those people in, it wasn't just about, here's your CII book, you know, here's your level 4 diploma, do all your qualifications, read all that, and then you'll be a paraplanner. it wasn't just about that at all, was it? It's about the practical. Yeah. So you've got the studying side of it. And historically, you know, anybody who's looking to come into financial planning, they always come to us without any experience and say they want to become a financial advisor or they want to become a paraplanner. What qualifications should I do? And it's like, right, well, these are the 3 routes you can go down qualification wise. And what it keeps coming up in my head is that the qualifications are not going to make you the paraplanner. The qualifications are not going to make you the financial planner. And the more I'm seeing these soft, I would say soft skills, but people skill type training that's coming out, the likes of what things like what you're doing, which we'll go into a bit of detail about, you know, Catherine Morgan with her, you know, life coaches type approach, Know Thyself Academy, all these kind of life-centered financial planning. I love all that type of training because that to me is what gets someone to understand the role, the purpose of what you should be doing within that position. But also if you are going to be client facing, if you're going to be working with a financial planner, perhaps if you're an administrator or a paraplanner, you start to understand the culture of the business and you start to understand what is required of you from a skill set level and communication basis as well. So it's not just about here's a qualification, bang, you're a financial planner. And that's what historically has always been the kind of case. And that's nice to see things like this. I come from a training background. So prior to recruitment, you know, I worked at Aviva and I was always training customer service guys out. So they would be straight out of university, absolutely no Scooby-Doo about how the FTSE worked, how a pension worked or anything like that. So I had to explain to them in basic terms so they could articulate and understand what a client was going through when they're picking the phone up or a financial advisor. And yeah, you're right. In from the outside looking in, financial planning it's never really been a big emphasis on that side of the training and development, has it?
No, absolutely not. And I mentioned earlier kind of my background was within a creative engagement agency, and I did, as part of that role, did a lot of work with within the NHS and, you know, values and behaviours work with the junior doctors campaign, and, you know, really great, insightful stuff. And I remember at the time almost leaving the public sector and joining Kathy in financial services. And, you know, the time was right, hence why I made the move, but thinking, oh, I've come across to the dark side. You know, there was so many myths and stereotypes around just generally the financial services community. And that comes from me, where my best friend at the time, Kathy, you know, is in financial services, but yeah, I still very much held those stereotypes as truth. So actually coming into financial services and, you know, listening to the way Kathy talks and the mission that she's created for Parasols and every other company and the group collectively since then is, you know, for me, it actually resonates with that sense of purpose that you've just rightly mentioned there, that actually it's so much greater than what other people would otherwise assume is the case within financial services. So I would think leaving college or, you know, at any point, what careers are available to me within the financial services? To be honest, I think one, that would go banking, which is completely side of finance anyway. So I think there's kind of an education piece in financial services versus finance and accounting, or there's a financial advisor. I certainly wouldn't be thinking what a paraplanner was, how technical you need to be for an administrator role, marketing, my personal role in terms of culture and developing people. It's just, it brings a very different skill set, you know, that of compassion, that of empathy, and you know, lots of other things which for me resonated with the piece I was doing with junior doctors. You know, they were the nursing values. So yes, I think, sorry, I started to go on my soapbox there.
No, I totally, what you're saying is absolutely spot on, because we are starting to see more and more roles appear within the financial planning profession. Outside of, I think people are starting to understand administration. They're starting to understand paraplanning, the financial advisor role. I mean, those, you know, the admin back office type functions were never even talked about, you know, and paraplanning in its own right has only become a role within the last sort of 5 years. But there are other positions. I mean, you know, you can work in marketing, social media, you can be a client engagement manager. And I think what we'll see as these financial planning firms start to grow, and especially become quite tech heavy as well, you start to hire people in from a tech background, from an IT background. So these types of positions are starting to open up within financial planning firms. It's not just I'm a financial advisor and that's it. You know, there are multiple different roles, but no one's really articulating what those roles are and what those opportunities within financial planning are. All you ever really see is when you type into the internet, I want to be a financial advisor. It's just some, and I shouldn't be ageist, but I'm going to say it, middle-aged white guy talking about how to become a financial advisor. And guess what? They're a financial advisor. You know, there's nobody sort of saying, well, actually, there's this role, there's this role. You don't have to just be a financial advisor because this is the type of skill set you need to be a financial advisor. But I tell you what, if your skill set isn't around that, this is probably something that might interest you, which is paraplanning, which is more research heavy. If the thought of sitting down with somebody or having to go out and win clients or present or anything like that scares the living daylights out of you, then perhaps that's not the bit you're interested in. However, if it is something you are interested in doing, but you do lack that confidence, then perhaps there's some training and development required around that to help you get over that fear to move forward and become a financial planner. And I think, multiple different roles within financial planning. We're going to see more and more in those come up. Absolutely. And the education piece about connecting people with what actually goes on to what is out there from a content perspective is needs to be improved, doesn't it?
I know the financial education is a big debate and conversation that happens within financial services anyway. But you know, it's outside of that too. So I mentioned earlier, my husband, he's in education. He works within a college, and you know, there's even something by proxy, being able to explain to him and invite him into my world, because he's working with really, you know, aspirational, young adults at that age in college who are just thinking about their career options, and you know, they don't know what they don't know. So actually there is an element of, we need to almost educate the parents, the careers advisors, the teachers, whatever it may be. So huge ripple effect.
Yeah, we're absolutely spot on there. And I think connecting with universities, colleges, etc. as well. So there's a duty of care to do that in respect of trying to draw more people into financial planning, is to connect with those universities, connect with those colleges, and have somebody actually articulate again what a career looks like within financial planning, because it doesn't get done, does it? You know, it's not one of those things that really happen. You might have a few companies attend careers fairs or whatever, but it's not really done. I mean,
sorry. I was just going to say, we do attend careers fairs as far as the grad scheme is concerned, and as part of the recruitment for the grad scheme. And we do have some really great connections with particularly our local universities. And I remember the sense of pride. I think it was maybe our second cohort. So I think we're on to about our 8th at the moment intake in terms of grads. But I remember at the time this sense of satisfaction, because we got an application from a wannabe graduate who had been signposted to us from their careers advisor within a university. And I was like, that shouldn't have to feel that remarkable.
Yeah.
But I can feel it. I can absolutely feel the excitement in the pit of my stomach, even just recalling it, that kind of that real milestone.
That is a milestone. Yeah.
It was super. And we do our bit in terms of the graduates that we do have and are successful and have grown and have gained the diploma and they've moved on to higher positions within the Verve group. We do our bit in terms of press and actually get in touch with the university and sharing alumni and stuff. But equally, you know, in the grand scheme of things, we're just kind of a drop in the ocean, and there's so much more that we can do collectively.
So is the art of finance there to also, I can see that you're building, you know, you're part of the Verve group. It is part of the Verve group, the art of finance. So it's involved with development and the hiring of inexperienced staff, the training of them to get them up to certain levels to be able to work with the clients of the Verve group, whether it's Parasols or Apricity. Yeah. And you've got that tied down to a lovely like two-year period of how you could take somebody straight out of university and they'll be a qualified financial planner working with a client within 2 years. Is that right?
Yeah, so there's a slight difference there. So kind of the grad scheme is essentially our internal recruitment process within Verve. So they go through our process, they assess them, they get a job within the Verve group, and we have a framework mapped out for them for their training, usually over 2 years, but that will depend on what role they come in for. The Art of Finance is almost the separate company, and that's the client facing. So actually we're working with firms who are looking to upskill their team, grow their firm, upskill, like I said. So that the Art of Finance is a separate business that's actually it's kind of outward facing in terms of working with clients to do that with their team what we do via the grad scheme, if that makes sense.
So you mentioned at the very beginning of the conversation. So are you getting approached a lot by clients of yours that are saying that we need to train our staff and they're not sure where to go to get the training?
Yeah, so we have a number of existing clients who perhaps already use parasols, the paraplanning side, because they don't have a paraplanning provision within their firm internally, but they want one. Perhaps they've got a senior administrator who is wanting to develop and upscale, and forward thinking firm business owners are actually thinking, that's some really good talent within the firm. I want to kind of hold that in terms of the succession planning. I need to invest in their training. We'll put them, I can't do it. I'm not often in the office. I actually haven't done my RO exams because it was something else completely different when they did it back in the day. So it's almost they're outsourcing that training, solution. Need for them. It's like the headache that comes with it, because it takes a lot of time to write content, to deliver content, to then continue to support them. So the Art of Finance, the programs, there's the supported programs and online courses, depending on whether people would prefer to either kind of study independently, then the online option's a great one for them. The supported programs is much more guided. You've got a set framework of what you achieve and various milestones throughout the 2 years. But it does just allow advisors to think, okay, that's kind of with somebody else and I know they're in good hands, and it's been written, the course program has been designed, to be honest, by Kathy, just because it's important for her, and it's been her vision for so long. So it's written from paraplanners or from compliance professionals and administrators, which is important because the roles, particularly with the paraplanner, is just so varied in every firm you speak to. So just kind of covers a whole range. So whether they are already within financial services, they're currently sat in a firm, but they're looking to upscale. But equally, if I am leaving university or college, or just generally at a point where I'm considering my different options, then actually individuals can come and self-fund their own training, and ultimately they come out the other side with a professional qualification that, quite frankly, is just the profession screaming out for them.
So, okay, let's say, for example, I've taken on a paraplanner, right? I'm a small little firm. I've taken on a paraplanner, and classic, I've put an advert out for a paraplanner. I've had someone sit in front of me that has paraplanner written on their CV. But as I've kind of interviewed them, I'm thinking to myself, God, they're as rare as rocking horse shit, these paraplanners. So, I'm eager to get this person hired. I'll give them 40 grand because they say paraplanner on their CV, and that's all I can think about. Yes, I've got a paraplanner. I bring them into my business. I sit there. I'm going, great. Here you go. Here's a load of research I need you to do. Oh, I don't do that. I haven't done that before. I've never done that. I just, do the ad. I do some letters and all that sort of stuff. So you're not a paraplanner then? Well, yeah, I'm a paraplanner. I mean, it's not really not. And there's this mass confusion, isn't there, between what actually is a paraplanner and what's like an administrator and a senior administrator, or a report writer. There's all these sort of different levels and scales, if you like, to actually what a true paraplanner actually is. And there's a bit of confusion, isn't there? And I feel for the clients when they're trying to take somebody on. And we have to be so kind of clear to them that we outline on a CV, for example, if we put somebody forward to them, that this is their skill set. They haven't done this, or this is their skill set. They've done it all. This is why they're worth like 50, 60 grand. So it's like and some clients just don't seem to ask the right questions at interview. And then they've got somebody in their business that are probably more than capable of doing the job, but just need some fine tuning and some training and development. And then they're like, oh, for God's sake, I haven't got the time to do this. And that's the headache that you take away.
That's exactly it. Full stop. Thank you for saying that for me.
That's all right. Record that one.
It is. It's exactly that. And there's something to be said around the financial advisors, or they're very skilled at what they do. Aren't we all in terms of the role? But they're not trainers, nor will they be expected to be. And it is difficult because going back to an earlier sentiment, before anything else, we're just all humans, and by God, do we vary in come in all shapes and sizes, and how we're motivated. Are we towards motivated, or are we motivated, and how do we learn? What's our learning styles? And it's just a whole new world, which is exactly why, training providers exist, why skilled trainers and facilitators exist, because there's something around acknowledging your own skill set, whether it be you're a bloody good financial advisor, but that doesn't necessarily make you a good trainer or a good developer of people. So yes, I think there was kind of for the art of finance, when I talked about the blend with Kathy, the program is set up in terms of kind of a set structured program.
Yeah.
Which covers the qualifications, supporting them. If we take the art of paraplanning, for example, which is the paraplanning course, that's over 2 years, getting their CII level 4 diploma in regulated financial planning. At various points, also all of the practical skills that they need to know along there. So even just being able to delve into the advice journey, understanding like on a kind of base level, the world of financial services, how it works, what we need to, how the reports that they write, for example, later down the line kind of feeds into that journey, the various touch points. So that's all well and good. But for me, I suppose my element is about the personal development too, that comes from stepping outside your comfort zone, doing something completely new and immersing yourself in a world of jargon and language you've never heard, and it just generally feeling, very overwhelming and daunting. There's quite a lot of people, it's shocked me at the time, when we do the welcome and introduction day at the beginning of every cohort, we get people to, just as a little icebreaker, we get them to have a play Pictionary. So actually it's all around getting to know people better, building peer support, and just a bit of fun, because we all love Pictionary. And the amount of resistance sometimes from people where it's like, oh, do I have to stand up, or I don't really want to tell people what my favorite color is, or whatever it may be. And it's just, I always find that really fascinating, that actually is a room full of professionals, quite often, mature. I'm not talking even kind of young adults at that point. We've got people on the courses who are, perhaps in the 40s, 50s, and they're there because they've just neglected their own studies because they've been busy building a family, or, building the firm without the qualifications. But just them all sat there. And for me, that's the exciting bit, because I'm like, actually, as a person, look at how you will grow over these next 2 years. Yes, you will finish with a lovely shiny certificate and some great CV credentials, and be able to have great knowledgeable conversations around the tools you use, or whatever it may be, or the software systems. But you cannot replace the amount of personal development and personal growth that comes from stepping outside your comfort zone and really working towards I suppose a common goal. And the people in the room are all coming because they just want to excel, they want to move the career forward, and they want to progress. So that's the exciting bit for me.
The positions that the types of courses that you're offering at the Art of Finance are for administrators, paraplanners, and compliance managers, but not financial advisors.
No. Okay. We don't do the art of financial advice, which is what it would be. We certainly haven't kind of gone into that space yet, but we've stuck to what we know and what we know we can do well, and that is obviously the paraplanning, the compliance, and the financial administration, like you said. So they're the supported programs. I did mention earlier in terms of our online courses, they're slightly different. So we do have the same 3 programs as online, but it's the practical skills module. You get access to online e-learning, which is great for, we're finding they are most popular with those who have just got a busy day job and they want to be able to nip in and out, and just very practical in terms of how we lay the content out. There's kind of flashcards. We use gamification within the e-learning. So that's great for them, but they're the programs. And then we have a range of online courses in specific topics, whether it be the art of suitability, delving into that as a concept, effective SMCR, supervision, even down to your typical annual tests, your GDPR and anti-money laundering conduct rules.
So you offer like little segment training as well as the full training. So let's say, for example, I'm working as an administrator and I really want to become a paraplanner. Let's say I'm an administrator listening to this podcast now and I'm thinking I really want to be a paraplanner, but the business I'm working for, they obviously don't have the training or development. They seem to be neglecting it with me. Now, what I could do is actually turn around to my boss and say, look, the Art of Finance have got a course on how to become a paraplanner. And I think I would love to become a paraplanner. Can you book the course through the Art of Finance for me? You don't need to do it. They'll train me up, but you're going to have a far better qualified individual sitting within your business. And ultimately you're going to be keeping that member of staff, because otherwise that person's going to leave when, Joe Blogs around the corner and says, hey, there's a financial advice company that will train you to become a paraplanner. So you're trying to bridge that gap. And it's about that really does help as well with staff retention. Training and development is massive for staff retention. So many people leave jobs because they feel undervalued and that they're not getting the support required to be able to fulfill their careers, because unfortunately the business is so ingrained in pushing themselves forward that they forget that there are staff that want to develop as well. And I like that as well. And there's always and one of the things for me, I'm not great at doing any qualifications. I tried FPC 1 back when I was back when I was at Aviva, and I struggled like hell with it, because of the technical questions and all that. I just got so bored, and I found it so difficult. And when I worked in training, I simplified everything. I made it fun. I made it engaging. I had to simplify it. I had to go to all the compliance team to get things signed off all the time, because I was never allowed to say things. I had to kind of word it in a certain way that wasn't, misleading or anything. However, you can make finance fun. You don't have to stick a red line through absolutely everything. And I love that's what you're doing, because I think a big part of learning is that you need to enjoy what you're learning, and you need to be able to connect that fun side to it and that interesting side to it, not just the stuff that's really important but can be deemed as quite boring. So I think that's a lovely transition, a lovely gap there. And if you've got, so you can literally take somebody from knowing nothing all the way to being a level 4 qualified financial planner. And is that level 4 qualification, who's it through? The CII, the LIBF?
Yeah. CII level 4, so their diploma in, I think the technical official name is regulated financial planning. Yeah, absolutely. From potentially knowing absolutely nothing to 2 years later getting their level 4 plus all of the practical skills that go with it. Zero to hero.
Zero to hero. Now, if I was to put my entrepreneur hat on right now and started looking at your business and what opportunities that to me has, I would say the opportunity there is that you are building talent internally and then placing those qualified individuals then into businesses that require it. Now, one of the struggles, I suppose, a company maybe a bit smaller that wants to grow is, well, I could take on a graduate, but I've got to pay that graduate 20 grand a year, and it's going to take them 2 years to become level 4 qualified as a paraplanner. Am I going to get any value out of them for those 2 years? Or you guys train them up and then place them into companies. So it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because no one seems to want to pay for the graduate and train them for 2 years or have them within their business for 2 years. They don't seem to see the value in that. I suppose if they jump straight onto a course like you've got, the Art of Finance, it means you're going to fast track them within that 2 years. I don't know. You tell me. There's an opportunity there. How does it work? Because there's definitely an opportunity there.
Well, in terms of what we see, so we're up to cohort 5 within the Art of Finance. 5, yeah, I'm sure it's 5 within the Art of Finance already. So the students that we have on those cohorts at the minute, like I said, it varies massively. There's one woman who I think the welcome day was on the Wednesday. That was her very, very first day in financial services, the day before she was 30 years in oil and gas. She's coming towards the end of her 2 years now. In January, she's got her RO6, through to people who are already, like I said, working within financial services for probably the same firm for about 20, 25 years, but perhaps they've been almost just in one area of the business and haven't needed to do their own qualifications. You know, they've been upskilling the team or growing the firm and just have neglected their own. So they're almost starting to think, you know, what does my future look like in the next 5 to 10 years? And if that's maybe a consultancy route, then actually I'm going to need some qualifications and some credentials behind me. So the motivations are very different. We've got actually a couple who aren't in financial services, but came across us because their dream is to get a job within finance. They want to be advisors or planners, and you know, they're currently working in retail, so they're self-funding their qualification. And you know, that's amazing too, because they are suddenly getting a whole wealth of experience and kind of knowledge transfer that comes from being in a room of peers who are in financial advice firms at the minute. And like we said earlier, there's never any two firms that are exactly the same. So immediately we talk about the advice journey as that example again early on in the programme, and we start to just have a really open dialogue around, okay, what does the journey look like for you? Map it out, draws it, how does it work, at what point, you know, is your paraplanner in on the meetings, or is it just something your advisor's only allowed to do, and do they happen in the office, or do they go out to the home? And you've got other people saying, oh no, like, you know, we're very much hands-on, and the paraplanner's introduced as, you know, almost the advisor number 2 and stuff. So all of that wealth of knowledge transfer, insight that comes from first-hand experience, you know, those who, especially who aren't currently in financial services, really, really reap the benefit of. So I think for me, more and more of the forward-thinking financial advice firms do see the benefit of graduates, and actually they see it as a chance to get, you know, a graduated, educated professional on board. I think the resistance comes from them not being able to deliver on the training, especially in the COVID world. I mean, good grief, just because we aren't dealing with enough, like, let's just throw training into the mix as well now that we're all remote working. So yeah, I think they are willing to take them on. And actually there's a firm we work with at the Art of Finance. They have placed 3 people in different cohorts, and they've actually worked it into their job spec when they're recruiting financial administrators, or that actually they're saying they need to be prepared to undergo this training framework, which over 2 years will see them, yes, working within a financial administration role, but, you know, paraplanner being their destination. And they're inundated with applications because, you know, that's what people want. Like you said earlier, people want to be developed, people want to feel invested and valued. And, you know, regardless of what the salary bracket is, you know, location, that whole L&D budget is absolutely crucial to any good recruitment.
And also as well, when you take somebody on straight from university, they are ready and they are willing to get stuck in, and they're also already learning. So they're already, you know, they're still in that learning mentality. So if you chuck them then straight onto like their level 4 qualification, some probably just think, okay, fine, I'll just carry on learning because I'm already in that habit of learning anyway. What they're looking for is that opportunity. So they're looking for the opportunities to progress. And when someone lays out in front of them a plan of action, they say, right, if you join me at this stage 1, right, you've got no experience, but guess what? We've got this training program and it takes you through your administration. So whilst you're going through your administration, this is what you're going to be doing in the job. And then when you get to this point here, you've got to pass one of these exams, and you think then by then you'd hopefully have passed this exam. But as you're going through that process, and there's a timeline there, these are all the skills that you're going to be learning. Not only are you going to be learning them from the Art of Finance, they're going to be teaching you the practical skills, they're going to be teaching you the actual technical skills, but you're going to get on the job learning from us as well. And then within that 2-year period, you could even within that as an employer, they could even within that two-year period say, look, you're starting at £20,000 or £18,000. At the end of that 2 years, you're going to be fully qualified. So this is what your salary is going to be. So you just build this wonderful personal development plan that revolves around the development of that new recruit. And if you're in that interview and you've got somebody in front of you, an absolute superstar, and you can build a plan around their first 2 years to get them up to level 4 qualification, you'll win anybody over. Anybody coming out of university with a master's in economics or whatever, any smart person will go, wow, you're actually going to totally look after me. And that there is the grad scheme, isn't it? That is like a bolt-on grad scheme that you can add on to any financial planning firm. You consult that financial planning firm to do that.
Grad scheme, really, without coining the phrase, because, you know, the domain's already gone.
Yeah.
But it is exactly that. And, you know, some firms already are out there and do already have their own graduate scheme, which is great, and they use it for their recruitment. I think that is excellent, and I couldn't encourage that more with every firm. You know, there's something around just really understanding, I suppose, the whole talent management approach around how you attract them and how do you retain them. And
I think it's also an education piece to make sure that the person who is running the firm or the company understand that they are going to get some value. That just because that person isn't level 4 qualified now or experienced, it doesn't mean that you're not getting value. There will be value along the way. They are going to be learning. These are bright girls and boys, you know. Yeah. They're gonna add value at each step of the way. Some of the key things here is the fact that you are investing in that person. The more you invest in that person, the more likely they are to stay with your company and feel valued and talk about how brilliant your company is. So it's a definite area where there is a shortage, and obviously some firms are doing it, which you're obviously experiencing, but other firms aren't, and they are worried about that training, development, cost, and all the things that go along with it. But you're solving that solution. And I think, so what happens then if, let's say, for example, I join you. We mentioned the lady who's in oil and gas. Yeah. So she's in oil and gas. She's doing what? A paraplanner, art of paraplanning. So she's doing the art of paraplanning. Is she still working in oil and gas?
No. So she left what I think was maybe a 30-year career in oil and gas on the Tuesday, and then joined the world of financial services on the Wednesday. So she's coming to the end of her 2 years. She's got 5 of her exams under her belt. She's got RO6 to sit in January. And it's been lovely to see her grow, to be honest. So lovely, and heartwarming, because it's not been easy, and to some extent she was on the back foot compared to others in the cohort who were already working in financial services, who knew what a paraplanner was, even that in itself. But she's done absolutely amazingly and is almost fulfilling that trainee paraplanner role internally already. And yes, it is for, the firm needs to be very receptive, I think, for me, in terms of thinking around the opportunities that it does bring, everything that you've just said around taking on a graduate scheme. But they also need to be receptive in the sense of they do come on this course, and for me it is about their personal development. We're in a classroom and I'm encouraging them as a kind of as a personal coaching piece, reach out to your line manager and ask these questions, and try and understand, or approach it in this way. Lots of prompts which we do to embed their learning. So the technical knowledge we deliver in a classroom, go away and ask these questions within your firm. Do you know your CIP, for example? Go and find it, read it, dissect it, go and scribble your advice journey, whatever it may be. But the firm needs to be receptive and responsive to that person who is being challenged to go back and take the firm forward, because a lot of the firms are, and that's really exciting for them, and it's what they want. I mean, what employer doesn't want discretionary effort from their staff? who absolutely nobody. But you also need to be of the mindset that you don't mind being positively challenged, or that perhaps people could be coming up with, you know, I don't know, a better way or a better solution, or they've got a different process of how we gather data on a series of plans or whatever it may be. And that's only going to help and support their student, their employee, to get the most out of the course, for the firm to be able to get the most out of the value out of their staff too.
So the girl who did the oil and gas, was she, is she working for, you know, did she come to you via a financial planning company, or did she come directly?
So she's, like I said, she's at, I think it was maybe 30 years in oil and gas, so she's more of a mature student, let's say. So I think she was planning on leaving oil and gas for whatever reason anyway. She was friendly with the village, the financial advisor in her local.
Say the village idiot then. Friendly with the village idiot. Oh no.
No, he's not a village idiot, but yeah. So the village that she lives in, it's the local financial advisor, and I think they must know. And he had he's kind of got his own succession planning in kind of legacy building. He wants to be out of the firm and all of that type of stuff. So he hired her and indeed another administrator who's also on the course, so that they're both on it together, which is also very lovely, because they get that peer support in the classroom and in the office. So yeah, she is in a firm, but it's very new. It's very new for her, and to be honest, it's very new for the advisor. So up until not long ago, he was just a sole advisor, and it's only that he's starting to bring people in because he wants to be out, which is the right thing. But he's doing it the right way, and that he's investing in his team. He recognises that for him to get out, he needs to bring other people on. And there's a shortage of good quality power planners, so you know you can't just wait for some absolute gems to come along who's going to be perfect for you. Why not just invest in your staff you've already got and upskill? The timeline worked for him. You know, he was forward thinking enough to think, okay, right, that's where I am in 5 years. Well, it's going to take me at least 2-3 years to get somebody, you know, that at a standard or a quality that I would be happy with.
There is an apprenticeship scheme, isn't there?
What, for the Verve group or just in general?
There's not no, as in there is a financial planning apprenticeship scheme.
Yes, there is. And to be honest, Kathy and I go round in circles all the time about apprenticeships. And you know, to be honest, it was a conversation that we had even just yesterday. It's very topical. And we've always stayed clear of the apprenticeship side of things, simply because as soon as you start going into the realms of apprenticeships, then with that comes Ofsted, and they expect you to operate in the way that a school would. And for us, you know, it's not where we want to be spending our time. Actually, navigating red tape's not a thing. It's not a pleasurable experience for us, nor is it for the firms. But equally, looking at the curriculum that they set, we actually don't agree with it. As first-hand paraplanners, we look at it and think, actually, no, they're not teaching the right things that it takes. So for us, we've intentionally stayed away from apprenticeships for that reason.
I think apprenticeships can often be exploited as well, because you don't have to pay somebody a specific salary. You can just pay them like around £600 a month. And I think apprenticeships have always been they're always deemed as being this brilliant way of getting in, but it's also a really easy way to exploit for cheap labour. Someone coming directly out of, say, university isn't going to take an apprenticeship because they can walk into a 25 grand recruitment job if they wanted to. So they're not going to do it. So it's kind of like, I don't really see how the apprenticeship works unless you're taking somebody out of like college or school or something like that. And I just don't know if that's attractive to anybody straight out of school. But it leaves it open, doesn't it, to the profession itself having this real difficulty in trying to find good quality power planners, financial planners, and attracting younger people to the profession. But is there anything out there that can fund and help smaller financial planning or large financial planning firms grow? Is there a grant or anything like that you guys tap into?
I'm not not that I'm aware of nationally. We have looked at local grant funds up in here in the northeast, just because it has been a conversation that we've considered for kind of local firms up here. I think because it's the realms of financial services, it usually, as far as the ESF funding is concerned, or usually where it comes from, it's not, it kind of doesn't fit within the world of financial services. That said, I don't know all of the local authorities and kind of the different grants that are available regionally, but our experience certainly hasn't been.
Which is strange, because you'd think there would be, because there is a definite need for financial planning for people, financial education, financial coaching, financial planning, and the distinct lack of financial planners and decreasing is only going to make that more difficult for the general public to get access to that advice. You'd think there would be something in place that would do that. Now, if that funding was there and it was in place, and a business owner can say, right, okay, brilliant, I will take on someone from university because you're going to cover half the salary for year one, then they tie in with the art of finance. I mean, that's a beautiful relationship, and that's a beautiful way to get more people into the profession, but it's money, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not kind of delve into government infrastructures and
no, I don't want to do that either, but I was just wondering if there was anything that you guys that was out there that you could tap into like that, but obviously there isn't.
No,
fair. Okay.
We're aware of.
Does anybody get stuck into the art of finance and take up your course without any experience and without working in financial planning already?
Yeah, so that was the guy that I mentioned on cohort 3, I think he is, and he's I think he works in retail. I think at the minute he's in some sort of ops role, but his fiance, I think, works within financial services, and I think together, the kind of mid-20s, I think they've got kind of a greater dream that one day they'll both have their own financial planning practice. So he's very motivated and knows kind of where he's going towards. But yeah, ultimately he's working a full-time job outside of finance. I think he's in retail, but absolutely smashing his exams, and just the practical skill side of stuff just really, really comes natural to him. And for me, that's lovely, because actually it becomes a vocation, doesn't it? That, like, actually he was meant to be this. He was meant to take this route.
There's plenty of people out there that would make fantastic financial planners and paraplanners, but are just being held back by the entry, aren't they? Getting into the actual profession and doing it. I think without a shadow of a doubt, what you're offering as a solution to taking on people without experience is definitely there. It's a definite solution, because I think financial planning firms want to take on good quality grads, and they are taking on good quality grads. They are starting to do it, but as you say, it's just that, what value am I going to get out in the first couple of years? But if you have it built into that first 2-year program, and you're part of it, the art of finance, or even if they have an internal development team, it's only going to add value moving forward. But it's a long game, isn't it? But then it's not on the admin or paraplanning side, is it? It's not a long game at all, because they'll start to get it within 6 months.
Yeah, and you can start using them within your, depending on how your firm's set up and what your resources available. Absolutely, you can have them paraplanning quite quickly, if you've got the setup to be able to quality check and manage operations and stuff. So it doesn't have to be a long game. But it was interesting there that you said around almost, is it deemed the long game? Because I don't know whether you watched our live event back in October, but actually Kathy launched then a new not-for-profit initiative with the Verve group, and it's called We Are Change. And essentially it's our view as of the Verve group in terms of where we are in COVID, in that we all talk about the advice gap, the need to attract a new generation, that new generation of talent within financial services, but we don't do a great deal to do about it. So actually, in the middle of COVID, when actually, yes, it's understandable, people aren't necessarily going to be doing a recruitment drive for all of the reasons, not committing to salaries, workload being down, whatever it may be. But we've created this initiative, which essentially is going to be looking at those who unfortunately are probably going to, lose their jobs as a result of COVID, specifically looking at hospitality sectors and, retail, becoming unemployed as financial services, when we're sat there and saying we just can't find anybody.
Yeah.
And yet here we are, like constantly being told that we're at threat of almost 1 million people in hospitality alone who are about to lose their jobs. Well, what a great opportunity that brings for us as an industry, that we suddenly have this, pool of people who, are going to be crying out for, whether it be new careers or jobs, whatever it may be. So We Are Change is the initiative, and that's actually us working with financial advice firms, the big providers and stuff, to actually get pledges of support from them. So £85 a month, where essentially the sponsoring to put a person through their qualifications and train them up. So using the model that we've created for the Art of Finance, they pledge their support, we go out and find the people, and basically also put them through their qualifications. So the £85 a month over a 2-year period essentially just covers their CII costs, their exams, the books, the membership, that type of thing. With the view of, actually, we can't be recruiting them right now. That's fair enough. We're not in that position, and nor should we be kind of putting that commitment out there. But we can be training them. We absolutely can be training them. So yes, 2020 has been an absolute challenge of a year for all of the reasons we already know about. Absolutely. What happens if we flick the switch and we start to think of it as an opportunity instead, where actually we can be growing that talent pool, we can be building that capacity, so that actually come 2 years' time, that we're starting to think, right, okay, the ground settled again, I'm feeling a bit structured, I want to tap into that. I've suddenly got many more qualified and skilled paraplanners, administrators, whatever it is, than we otherwise would have had. Why do we start looking for them in 2 years? Let's start building now.
And that was called We Are Change.
Yes, yeah, We Are Change.
So who sponsors who? So you go to companies mainly within financial services, then, do you? Yeah. And just say, look, do you, like, is it a charity? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so it's essentially, as it will be in the kind of legal structure terms, will be set up as a charity. It's kind of Kathy's baby, so she's having all of the conversations with our founding partners. But basically, it was a nugget of an idea that she had before our last live event back in October, and just, Kathy, she's very desperate and passionate about doing her bit. That big mission piece isn't just lip service. Like, actually, yes, there isn't anything in it for us right now, but actually there is collectively as an industry, that if we can grow financial services, then and kind of, future-proof it for generations to come, then absolutely we all will gain from it further down the line.
And companies can pay into that We Are Change. So kind of giving back to the profession, but also as well, because it's a charity donation, from a tax efficient perspective.
Yeah. So for me, it's almost a bit like...
That makes total sense. That's well clever.
It is.
I've been thinking about something like that for ages. I didn't quite know how you would do it, and that's pretty much spot on, isn't it?
You can speak to Kathy about it. So it's only £85 a month. So it's not, for us, it's a massive project for us. Don't get me wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Huge project, which, with the help of the founding partners, is obviously, it's just going to, we need to approach it collectively, because it is one piece, it's systemic change we're talking here. It's huge, or could be huge, but being able to actually then break that down so that actually it's not overwhelming for a financial advice firm or an individual. I might just set up a direct debit for £85 a month and almost sponsor a person. Like, I'm it's not the charity appeal necessarily, but as fine the heartwarming and that good heartwarming feeling of being able to help somebody and support them on gaining a career, like, is a lovely piece, and something that if we all just did our bit and we all just did one, like, the ripple effect that we could create would be huge. There's
a definite altruistic
absolutely
go giver type mentality to that, give to receive. And also what you're then, if we put the business head on it as well, I suppose you can't if it's a charity though, can you?
No, we don't want to gain from it. We have had resistance, or I say we, via Kathy, those conversations we've had with the big providers, what's in it for you? So, But actually it's not. Like, you know, right now there isn't. The £85 literally works out however much it works out for your exams books and your CII costs. So it's kind of self-sustainable. We'll take on the investment of, you know, the marketing and stuff. We've already got a framework there for the Art of Finance. So in terms of being able to recruit them, it's just going to be time, not necessarily resource. But yes, where we see we can gain is growing the profession, is growing an industry.
But it's good marketing for you, isn't it? You're doing a good thing, and the more you're out there doing that, the more people are going to see the other levels of support that you offer in respect to the Verve Group. What else you could? Well, yeah, it's just that sounds really good. Are you talking like sort of people that, let's say, for example, you know, someone said, I want to become a paraplanner, right? So they join that We Are Change, right? But they're currently working in McDonald's, or they're currently working wherever. It doesn't matter, does it? Because they can be working in another job but studying on the side with an aim to then becoming a financial administrator or paraplanner or whatever.
To be honest, I would expect that to be the case. You know, I, for one, if I had suddenly just lost my job in the current months, I would be going out and just getting anything I could. So it's not a case of we're asking them to, you know, they need that income still coming in. They'll study in the same way, much like a open university course. Really, it's a distance learning course, so there'll be a number of days where we'll, you know, need them to be in a classroom so we can talk through the exciting stuff of RO1 and beyond.
Do you know what?
For example,
I should come and work for the Verve Group. I think you're on the same page as me. I've got some really good ideas, you know. What you're lacking is somebody who works in recruitment and has built a recruitment business in financial planning.
If anybody would think we're just about to go on a recruitment drive, Sam, there might be a synergy there.
Well, I tell you, I've got some bloody good ideas, and you're not a million miles away from my idea, really, which I would share offline. No, I love it. It sounds really good. And it's what I like about it. It's like you're actually creating a solution. Yeah. You know, you're not just talking about it, which a lot of people are. You know, we've got to get more people in. So what are you going to do about it then? And like, it takes a certain someone to actually say, I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah, no, do you know what? I love that you've said that, because I've said that to Kathy all along. For me, like, the challenge, it's, you know, it's kind of too ballsy as far as the marketing conversions, but it is very much about putting your money where your mouth is. Kathy says for as long as she's been in finance, which is, you know, 15 plus years, a hell of a lot longer than me, people always just say the same thing. Oh, we've got a next generation. Who are they? We need to get new people in. But really, like, what are you doing about it? Yeah, stop talking about it. What are you doing? So I suppose for us, there was something around, you know, it is bold and it is brave, but that's what the Verve Group's about. And it was a case of, if we can do something but actually make it more manageable for people, even if they set up a direct debit of £85 a month and they can sleep at night feeling like they've done their bit without really having to do much thought or kind of give much more time or contribution that perhaps they don't otherwise have. So
out of interest, right, if someone came to you and said, I want to not do that, but I wanted to become a paraplanner. I'm not working in paraplanning at the moment. I'm not working in financial services. I'm working at Dixon's or whatever. Are they still open? Dixon's? Curry's, I think.
Yeah, Curry's.
I said everybody works in financial planning, used to work in selling TVs now. That's the kind of image I'm putting out. But if they came and said, look, you know, I want to be a paraplanner, how much does it cost them per month? Does it cost them 85 quid? Or is that actually just like the cost it would be on the charity side? So what happens if I didn't go through the charity side and I wanted to be a paraplanner and everyone's telling me, go get your qualification first. Yeah. So I've gone to get my qualification first. I've come to you because that happens. Yeah. How much does it cost per month?
It wouldn't. So if they were, you know, that person, a consumer in that respect, member of the public, they don't pay the £85 a month. That's the pledge for employers, firms, providers to do their bit. They would get the course free, because actually those people over here are funding it for them.
So no, put that to one side. Put the change thing to one side. I love that, brilliant. But if I wanted to become a paraplanner, through art of power planning, the art of finance, how much would it cost me? Do I pay monthly? Do I pay yearly? How does it work?
So if you basically, for people who are self-funding their qualifications, what we say is the total fee, which is £3,500 plus VAT, is basic. What we do for them who are self-funding is we just agree that they can split that over 24 months, so the 2 years. So I actually don't know the maths off the top of my head, but we say that they can just pay monthly installments when it's, you know, the firms who are paying. It's 50% installments.
Okay, so if the firm's paying, it's 50-50.
But for as a person who, you know, is perhaps currently already working and they're having to fund it themselves, then actually it just makes it much more manageable to pay however much per month, as opposed to.
So if someone came to me and said, Sam,
£1,500, sorry.
So if someone came to me and said, Sam, I really want to be I really want to be a paraplanner. I haven't got any experience at the moment. I could say as a bit of advice, I'd say, look, you know, why not go and check out the Art of Finance? You could do the art of paraplanning. That will get you up to level 4 within 24 months. Yeah. But what it means is that you can still do your current job at the moment. You can study for the, you know, until you get up to the point where you've got a real great deal of knowledge and understanding of it. And then you could go looking at some job opportunities. But when you go into that new job opportunity, you're more marketable because you've already gone off your own back and actually got your qualification already in motion. So you can turn around to an employer and say, look, I'm already working with the Art of Finance. This is what I'm doing there. So within 2 years, I'll be level 4 qualified, and they give me the training up to this point. But now I feel that I'm ready to step into a role just to get some experience. And then within a year, you can have a fully qualified paraplanner. Exactly. So that helps them become more marketable. So that's anybody listening to this who wants to be a paraplanner, that's a really clear cut bit of advice there. Get yourself booked in with you guys and you'll be market yourself, you know, and that's something that definitely needs to be talked about if you're not already talking about that, because
we do. And there's something around actually the brand in itself with the Art of Finance, because it's been, you know, off the back of Kathy and her credentials and Parasols, who are well known within the world of financial services and lots of firms. Like there's something around it just giving you your CV some kudos, to be honest. Like actually I've trained kind of the Kathy Harrison way or the Parasols way. So yeah, we do talk about that. Obviously we're not in a position where we can guarantee people jobs at the end, but absolutely we support them in terms of that next step in their employment, the types of, you know, coach them in terms of what those conversations or interviews they could be having with financial planners. So and just being able to pop it on the CV for us, we think there is a kind of a badge of honour there to say that you've went the Art of Finance way.
So to summary, really, you're offering training and solutions for financial planning firms. So if they want to put their staff through administration, power planning or compliance training and qualifications, hand it over to the Art of Finance. Not only is it going to be the technical side of it, but they're also going to look on the practical side of it and combine the two to make it an enjoyable and interesting experience. If somebody has no experience, they want to become a power planner or administrator, or even just want to have a little stab at what it's like within financial services, they can do some online qualifications. They can sign up for the full 24 months to become a power planner, for instance. But again, learning the actual technical side, so you're not on your own, that you've got somebody who can teach you the practical side with a bit of, you know, simple psycholinguistics, if you like, and a simple way of understanding exactly what the actual process is and get you up to that level nice and quickly with a good level of understanding to help you become more marketable. So I love it. Sounds really good. I like the sound of all that. It sounds really great.
You've just done it. Thank you very much.
This is what I mean. See, I'm getting it. But I do. It's funny because I think because of my training and development background, and this is the thing. I think a lot of recruitment companies get labeled as just being you don't really care, more about the money and just flinging CVs around. But genuinely, as a company, and as I've always pushed and always promoted training and development, even within my own business. You know, the guys that are in here fully understand what financial planning is and what they do and the different levels and the problems and the issues that we have within it. And I'm in the background at the moment. The reason why I've created the Financial Planner Life is to solve a problem. There is a huge amount of people that want to become financial planners, but can't seem to get into the industry. And there's a huge amount of companies that want to grow and can't seem to take anybody on. So the whole point of the Financial Planner Life is to be able to bridge that gap and sort of educate two sides. And I've also got a plan around bringing companies. So basically I've got a bit of a recruitment killer app idea, which is going to reduce the total cost for recruitment for financial planning firms, but only if every single financial planning firm takes part in it. So collectively as a profession, if money and cost is the issue, then I'll reduce that right down. But you have to use the platform, you have to use the app. But at the same time, it allows any candidate to approach a company in the right way. So they themselves can look at a company and see exactly what that company are offering based upon the advert, the advertisement, the careers page that sits on this platform. So it's very, very transparent, and quickly they can ascertain whether or not they're the right company for them. If they are the right company for them, they can then display who they are, and that company can then get in contact with them and they can start lines of communication. And what sits within that is also a platform for training and development and career development tools, etc., within the financial planning profession. So a driven platform about careers and development, which has been built by recruitment, not by planners, because you've got next gen planner, etc., that have got trying to do that, but it's built by planners. What do they know about recruitment?
Yeah, true. Yeah, I get it.
Do you know what I mean?
Nice.
So there we go. I'll run that by you offline at another time.
Like it.
All right, cool. Listen, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. And have a wonderfully blessed day.
Thank you, and you too. Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. You all right?